So game 4 tonight, Toronto versus Florida. Let's talk about it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Ryan from Seaway Sports Lounge, and welcome to another episode of Leafs Timeout. In this episode, of course, we're going to be talking about the Toronto Florida game. We're going to go over the results, we're going to go over some of the stats, and we're also going to talk about the takeaways with what I saw, what we all saw with the game. And then afterwards, go over where they're going to go next. So, with that, let's just get right into it. So, the Leafs played the Florida Panthers for the first time since they lost to them in 5 games last year in the second round. This was an anticipated game. It was interesting to see how they would handle this game itself because of the fact of what happened last year. Unfortunately, they didn't win the game. They lost 3-1. They were in Florida's home. Overall, the game, I thought Toronto looked a little disorganized and a little out of sorts, especially for the first part of the game. As it wore on, they were trying to get back into the game, of course, like any trailing team, and they did what they could, but unfortunately, it didn't work out. Florida was playing a very defensive game. They were, blocking shots galore and all that kind of stuff. So almost like a very playoff style game. But anyway, they ended up winning 3-1 against the Leafs. Like I said, first time they met them since the playoffs. In the first period, what I noticed is that it was yet another slow start for the Leafs. We'll go into that shortly. It was another slow start, and then Toronto ended up being down 2-0 by the end of the first. Kevin Stenlund got his first, and Oliver Ekman Larson got his goal. A lot of those goals, with what I saw, were from the point or from the point area. They were just shot at the net, and they ended up just going in. Both were high over the shoulder, and Samsonov couldn't see them, so I wouldn't blame him for that. They had a hard time in their own end, Toronto. They had a hard time clearing. Mistakes were made at the defensive side. That's what caused these goals to happen. They basically did that, and that's where they were at, down 2-0. It was not what you wanted to do on your first game back for meeting these guys. But second period, Mitch Marner ended up getting a power play goal. He ended up getting that power play goal at 11:52 of the second. This also came from John Tavares and William Nylander. Both those players, I mean, they're all the core guys are playing really well right now in terms of stats, playing, getting goals, assists. They are always in the offense. They were trying to get going in the second period. They were trying to push it. They had 14 shots in the second period to the Florida's Panthers 8. And then in the third period, they ended up having 8 shots, but Florida had 24 block shots according to TSN. Here I'm reading, they had 24 block shots, Florida, and 15 of them, what was said on TSN on the broadcast at the end, and 15 of those shots were blocked in the third. So Toronto was throwing everything they could at the net, and they just kept getting in the way. Didn't work out in Toronto's favor. And by the end of the third, Sam Reinhart ended up getting an empty netter, and that took care of the game 3-1. Now, takeaways. Pretty brief in this one, pretty straightforward. They had another slow start. Slow starts are killing them. They're always behind by a goal. It's 4 games in a row now. They're always down. They're never leading the game right off the start, which puts you in a defensive mode. By the same token, they still have to try to get a goal. This is not the way you want to start a game. This sounded a lot very similar to last year. Hopefully they can correct the problem. Hopefully they can figure out what it is. Another problem Toronto is having is actually secondary scoring. They are not getting those goals from the players that are below the first 2 lines. They're just not getting that goal support. Most of the goal scoring has been done by Matthews, Nylander, 1 or 2 from Marner and JT. But overall, we need the defense is not really getting too much offensive side. I mean, Klingberg's throwing a lot of pucks at the net, which is great because it's giving a different dynamic to that power play. But again, secondary scoring is not there. Also, they are blending the lines again. Tonight was one of the best examples of that. They were trying anything. Domi's having a hard time. He's struggling mightily right now. He had 3 icings tonight, and he just looked out of sorts. He's having a hard time. They can't seem to find a line that works for him right now. Obviously, they're going to keep trying to do their best to find something, get him going because they need his scoring. They ended up not playing Matthew Nyes not much. They only played him 11 minutes the whole game. I thought they could have played him a little more, but they didn't do that. But that's the coach's choice. The coaching staff. Some good news is that Samsonov played much better tonight overall. He looked calmer in the net. The goals that he let in were not his fault. He couldn't. They're quick over his shoulder, or he couldn't even see them. Also, they didn't have 4 goals a game against, which is another good sign. The other thing too is that Bobrovsky played amazing again against the Leafs. He played very well tonight. He looked poised in the net. He ended up preserving the win for them. They were putting a lot of pressure on him in the third. There was a lot of potential goals that could have happened in the third, and it didn't happen. He ended up winning the game for them. Over, in my opinion, goaltending was the big factor for Florida, but that's about it. The game, that's it was just a disappointing game. I thought they would play better, especially playing against this team, and it just didn't happen. So the next game is going to be across the state in Tampa. They will be playing on Saturday. They will be playing at 7 p.m. Eastern to play the Tampa Bay Lightning. So that should be an exciting game. I always enjoy a Tampa Bay Toronto game, obviously, because of the previous playoffs they've had. So that is the video. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you would like to hit like or subscribe if you want to see more content. As our new person, Dan Alone, is now looking after the Canadians corners. Please feel free to take a look at his videos if you're a Montreal fan, or if you're a general hockey fan that you just want to watch some good content. He is doing a fantastic job with that. Thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you soon.